Hello, my name is Ashley Wilson McLean, and this is my Cultural Competence Reflection video for EDU-330. What does it mean to be a culturally competent educator? For an educator to be culturally competent, they need to steer far away from stereotypes and be aware of their personal implicit biases. This means educators should put their own beliefs on the back burner and focus on creating ways to educate students from all backgrounds, regardless of their race, sexual orientation, and upbringing. Cultural competence includes the efforts of educators when they build valued connections and relationships with students and parents. Creating these relationships show the celebration of differences with the common goal of successful educational experiences for all. There are many ethnic and racial disparities in K-12 education that need to be addressed, many of which affect the overall success of culturally diverse students and their school districts. There is a pattern in which African American, Latino, and some Asian societies underperform academically because of the lack of availability to change teaching practices. Language seems to be a top contributor to high dropouts and lower graduation rates in underprivileged societies. On the cultural competency continuum chart, I would place myself between culturally competent and culturally proficient because I believe in the transformation of equality and serving the educational needs of diverse students. With that being said, I understand the variety of cultures in my classroom and I am accepting of each difference, but I also understand the value of the education that should be provided to the independent needs of each student. I also understand that my teaching techniques need to adapt to the needs of my students and that continued education for myself is required if I wish to teach inclusively. To deepen my cultural competence, I must first understand and control my personal biases, meaning placing myself in another person's shoes. Accepting differences outwardly and asking questions when I do not understand will help me to get past biased thinking and lean more towards educated speaking. I believe that bias comes from the lack of understanding, and I am willing to gain knowledge about a culture before I prejudge anything. I plan to introduce activities that are inclusive and that require a response from my students where conversations lead to more knowledge about a certain practice. The reason for this is to show students that they have a voice and that I am willing to create activities to help them to feel safe and included. Solid relationships between myself and my students build trust, which helps students feel comfortable and can increase their success rates. To further my cultural competency as an educator, I will get involved with the people within my community. Learning about the people I live with will help me to understand the culture and the needs of the community. I can volunteer at events that I have little knowledge about because I want to show people that I am accepting of their differences. I can also attend local college lectures that touch upon diversity and that teaches strategies of inclusion within a diverse classroom. A resource I enjoyed reading to better understand cultural competency was the Scholastic Resource for Teachers. They have lesson plans and resources for multiculturalism and diversity that has taught me the importance of inclusion and adjustability. In my classroom, the materials I use to teach will reflect my understanding of diversity and will promote curiosity as my students get to know one another. Students will feel valued when lessons include their unique customs, and a feeling of excitement will be evident as I will be displaying my understanding of their educational needs. Respect for diversity in my classroom will come from my openness to answer questions when students do not understand a lesson. I would want to know how I could make changes so I could produce higher success rates for my students. Every student should have a feeling of safety and inclusion in the environment I am trying to create with an openness of continued communication. Thank you for watching.